ahead and get started. Welcome everyone. This is the Inspection Manager Breakout. And my name is Laura Brown. I'm a solution consultant here at Computronix and work mostly on the business development team. And with me, I have Kathleen Myers, who has really been working on the Inspection Manager for about the past year. So Kathleen, do you want to talk a little bit about your role here at Computronix and your work with Inspection Manager?
Sure. Thanks, Laura. My name is Kathleen Myers. I've been on the product team here at Computronix for the last 8 years and been working on Inspection Manager for about a year now. I'm the tech lead on that project, and it was really exciting because we got to use a whole bunch of new technology and tools that are new to us on the team and to the company as well. And I'm really excited today for the first group of people to get to see Inspection Manager. We're very proud of what we built. I will be keeping an eye on the chat feature, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask in there.
So today we're going to be seeing the Inspection Manager, and the main features in Inspection Manager, really we have two main views of what the inspections are and who the inspectors are. So we have a map view, which you're going to be able to see the inspectors and the inspections on the map view. And then we also have a list view of the inspection activity, and that looks more like a grid. So really depending on the use case of if you're wanting to see more about inspections and what they look like on a map, that's the most effective way. But sometimes we like to see a grid view of the inspections and be able to manage those that way. So you'll see both of these views. With these views, we can do rescheduling as well as reassignments. So it really helps to be able to manage the different use cases in these different ways of seeing the information. In addition to that, we'll also be showing you routing with the Esri GIS integration. So you'll be able to see what it looks like to have a route show up, be able to reorder that route, and then also use the Esri GIS integration to optimize that route. Okay, so one more PowerPoint slide and we'll move into the software. So today I'm using permitting inspections on the demo, but just know that this is available in a lot of other areas. So I'm going to be using PLS, P&I, and showing just a few different types of inspections there. It's also currently available in code enforcement investigations. So in addition to that, we have this product or this module available in ABC as well for inspections there. We also have it available in GCS, the gaming solution, inspections there. And in addition to that, it's also available for our non-COTS customers as well. So non-commercial off-the-shelf, POSSE platform, it's available there if you are running POSSE platform 7423 or later. So this would be something that a mapping exercise would be done from your current POSSE configuration to the Inspection Manager. Okay. So you're seeing the Inspection Manager, and really, it really is what it is named for. It is a way to manage inspections. So really the use case for the Inspection Manager is for your users that are inspection supervisors, inspection managers, your people that are trying to keep a pulse on what's happening in the field, where the inspectors are, and what inspections need to be done for the day. And I mentioned need to be done for the day because as we think about Inspection Manager, it really is about today and going forward, what the workload looks like today and in the future. It's not really a tool for looking at reporting on past inspections or reporting what has happened with inspections. It's really meant to manage our work that needs to be done today and forward. So you've probably figured out I have these bubbles on the map, and those represent inspectors. So not a whole lot of inspectors here that work in my demo land. However, we do have a few representing different business, different inspection disciplines. And so if we want to take a look at Isaac Hernandez, for example, we can see he hasn't done an inspection yet today, but we can see what the next inspection is that he needs to do. So each of these inspectors you can click on and see what their day is looking like from the previous inspection and the next inspection. Here I'm going to click on Mark Fawcett, and Mark's already completed an inspection today. We can see that information as well as what his next inspection is. So how do we know where Mark is? So we'll talk about this just a little bit later, more about the details about the inspections, about the location of the inspector and what we're showing. But this is something that is going to be updated intermittently, and we can know where that inspector, the last known location is. So here, for instance, we can see the route, and I'm just going to dock this over so you can see that a little easier. We can see that Mark has completed one inspection. We can see the potential route he took for that one inspection. That one's completed based on the dotted line. And then we can see additionally what route he's planning on taking to complete the rest of the inspections for the day. And we'll get into the routing toward the end of the presentation, but just from this first view, I wanted to show you what that piece looked like. So we talked a little bit about the inspectors here. What about the inspections that you're seeing? So I'm just going to drill in a little bit more. And so I have quite a few inspections concentrated in this one area. And so from here, we can see the different types of inspection disciplines, and that's noted by a color. So you can see that some of these are different, that they're different colors depending on the discipline. And then we also have the graphic that indicates what they are. So for example, here we have an electrical inspection assigned to Colin Woodford, and we can see additional details about that inspection on the inspection card, including things like previous inspections and previous deficiencies. So maybe we want to look at another one of these in more detail. So here we have a plumbing inspection assigned to Mark Fawcett, and the details around that specific inspection. So what can we do here? What can we do from this initial view of the map? So earlier I mentioned you can assign, you can reschedule, and we can do that for one inspection from this view that we're looking at here. So for example, if I have a building inspection that maybe needs to get moved to tomorrow, I can open up that building inspection and hit schedule for tomorrow, or we could even reassign it to someone else. Another example of this might be if we have a builder that calls and says, you know, the footings that I was hoping to get done yesterday just didn't happen. Can we move that inspection to tomorrow? Let me tell you what the address is so we can just move my inspection. So here you also have a really quick and simple search based on address, and we can do a quick search, find that particular inspection, and then reschedule that inspection to happen tomorrow. So here, I'm just going to use the rescheduling tool and move that to Friday. And now that inspection is off my list because I'm looking at today's inspections, and it's moved to tomorrow. So you've been noticing I've been zooming in and out a bit on this. We have quite a few tools available on the map. So zoom in and zoom out. If you don't want to use your mouse scroll bar, you certainly can use the plus and minus over on the left. Also, some other features here. You can set what the default map view is. So I have mine set zoomed out quite a bit. So that is a nice feature on the map as well. In addition to that, you can also choose the layers of the map that you want to see. So if you don't want to see the inspectors, you only want to see inspections and what the locations of those inspections are, we can remove the inspectors from the map and just see those. If we want to only include the inspector's last known location, we can do that as well. So I'm going to turn both of those back on. One other view that you have here, which is in addition to the street view, you also have a hybrid map view. So if we're wanting to see a bit more about the location of inspection exactly what the surrounding area looks like. You also have this hybrid view as well. It can get just a little bit busy, so I'm going to go back to the street view, but certainly as you're looking into these very specific inspections and trying to make sure that we know the area that these inspections are being done in, this can be very helpful. Okay, so quite a bit about the map view. Lots of other ways that we can filter what we're seeing. So I'm going to move into using the filters for the map view. So with these filters, and I'm just gonna, I'll probably stay about right here. That's probably good. With these filters, we're gonna default to today. So from here, we can see what it looks like for all the inspections that have been scheduled for today. I have a lot of overdue inspections too, so I also included my overdue. If we deselect the overdue, takes a few away, so you have that option to include or not include those overdue inspections that need to be done. In addition to that, we have a scheduling window where we can see multiple days forward. So right now I'm looking at 10/17, and then I'm looking at 2 days from today in terms of what's scheduled. If we wanted to see next week, I know we have a lot of overdue inspections today, but I'm really hoping by Monday of next week, those are all going to be caught up. Very easy to then change this to 10/21, and look, next week's going to be really light, 1 inspection. I'm going to turn those include overdue inspections back on, and I'm going to go back to today. So using the filters, we can see a tremendous amount of detail here and really hone in on specifics that we're looking for to make things a bit more efficient. So again, I want to point out I am using P&I. I am using POSSE PLS in the permitting and inspections area here. And with that, you're seeing some specific fields like our filters like discipline and use designations, permits. So these are dynamic fields, and these are fields that you can change based on what makes the most sense for your organization. So if you don't want this to say inspectors, you prefer for it to say investigators, certainly in other business areas, that certainly would be the case, then very easy for those to be changed. And that is also true for some of the pop-ups that you're seeing as we go through. Also true for some column headings when we get into our list view or grid view. So what's it look like for us to do a quick filter based on discipline? So maybe here, I just want to see the building inspections. Easy to do, quick filter, and I'm only seeing building inspections on the map. Certainly we can combine inspections as well. Not that these combine that great together, but let's take a look at what it looks like to have electrical and plumbing on the map. And now we can see all of the electrical and the plumbing inspections that need to be completed. So easy to use these different filters to see the information that you're looking for. Just going through these so that you get a feel for what these all look like. Maybe we want to do use designation, so I just want to look at the building final inspections. Easy to do that. Also, permits. So I have a lot of permits in this system. However, what you're looking at in this screen is already pre-filtered based on what's relevant. So I have, I don't know how many permits, but quite a few. But here, for today's inspections and my overdue inspections, I only have 4 different types of permits. So it's already filtering these down for you, so you're not getting these huge lists of drop downs that aren't relevant for what you're currently looking at. And we'll just pick solar permit, so you can get a feel for what that looks like. I want to close out of that one. One more filter being the inspectors. Same thing here with inspectors, where I have a whole lot more inspectors set up in the system. However, I just have 4 that have inspections to do today. So I'm going to select Isaac. And then last but not least, the statuses. So with Inspection Manager, we care about, has the inspection been completed? Is it overdue? Or is it scheduled? And so we're tracking those 3 different statuses for the inspections. And so using either of those 3, we can also filter down the information that we're seeing. So right now we're taking a look at Isaac's inspections that he has to do today. And that filter is going to stay that way until we clear it. So we can know that this filter is in place with the filter indicator. There's a small blue dot that appears next to the filters. So I'm just going to close that filter panel and then go into the view I was talking about earlier, which is our list view, or it's basically a grid view of the inspections. From this grid view, we can see quite a bit of information here as well. So we can see which ones are overdue, pretty clearly which ones are overdue. Also from here, we have an indicator that lets us know that there's some history associated with this inspection. So for example, on this 1130 Winnetka Street, we can click on that indicator and there's 3 previous inspections and 3 unresolved deficiencies. So we might need to check into this one a little bit more. This one might take us a little longer than usual, considering the history of all the deficiencies and the failed inspections. Be curious to see this a little more clearly. So from here, you can drill into the POSSE record. So basically, Inspection Manager is designed to let you update assignments, schedules, and routes. If we want to update more about the inspection, super quick and easy, you're 1 click away from being able to go back into the record and then update the record as needed, or just do a little bit of research about, well, what happened with all these failed building final inspections that were scheduled. And you can do that from the map view as well. You can click back into the POSSE record from your list view or from the map, either way. So what else do we know from this list view? So from here, we also have the column headings that can be that are dynamic. So you can name these column headings, again, what makes the most sense for your organization. And it does look like Isaac's probably a little overwhelmed with all of the inspections that he has to do, with especially quite a few overdue. So from here, let's take more than one. So you saw me reassign or change one inspection from the map. Here you can grab a group of inspections. So I'm going to take a couple of these and I am going to reassign them to someone else that maybe has a bit more time available. So from here, I have my drop down of my inspectors that can be used for assignment. And now, like that, I just reassigned a few of those inspections over to Mark Fawcett, and he's going to take those off Isaac's plate today. Well, maybe a couple hours later, Isaac calls in and says, I'm just not going to get to any of these. And I know by Monday you wanted all these overdue inspections done. Okay, fine. We can take a couple more of these and assign them to a different inspector. So this is what it looks like when you get a stop error in Inspection Manager. You're going to get the little stop, and this is indicating that you're trying to assign inspections to an inspector that does not do inspections for that discipline. So in this case, I have Tim Carl set up as a mechanical inspector, and these are building inspections. So this is giving me a hard stop, and I can't continue to move past that because Tim can't do those. So that gives you an idea of what that can look like for that hard stop. So I'll just deselect those and Isaac will hopefully get them done. So also from here, we have some information about the dates in the system. So of course we have scheduled date when this inspection is scheduled. We also have ready date. The ready date here is when the customer requested that the inspection would be ready. So you saw the hard stop. We're not going to want to try to do the inspection before the customer has said the inspection's ready. In addition to that, we have the required by date. And currently out of the box, we're doing this as 10 days forward from the ready date or the request date. So your required by date is going to be 10 days into the future. So what happens if I say, you know, I really want to go ahead and move this out. We know next week's going to be a little bit light, but we're going to move this inspection out to the 26th. That's a Saturday. I don't know if your inspectors work on Saturdays, but moving this out to the 26th, we're now going to get a warning that says, hey, the inspection was actually required to be done by the 24th. Again, this is a window that's configured 10 days beyond that, the requested date for the inspection. So we can still schedule, but it is providing us that warning to let us know this is out a little further than what we would anticipate. So quite a bit available here on the list view. And I'm going to now move into the map selection pane. So let me just check here, make sure I said everything I wanted to say. Yep, okay. So let's move into, I'm going to clear the filters that I have set up here. And we're going to move into the map selection pane. So you saw what the view looks like with the map view, but now we have a selection pane so that we can select multiple inspections at once from the map. So really, really helpful if we're thinking about maybe proximity-based reassignments or rescheduling. We know that we're not going to get to this area of the city toward the end of the week, so maybe we need to move those into next week. So the way that this works is we can then select a group of inspections. And from this, it's now going to pull those inspections over to the right. Now, we can further see more details if we want to see, well, which ones am I selecting for doing a rescheduling or reassigning? So we can see details on each of these. And then from here, just like you saw before, you can open up the POSSE record if we want to see more details, or we can reassign to a different inspector, or we can reschedule to a different day. So list view and map view, depending on what makes the most sense for what's going to help you the most for being able to make this the most efficient way of moving some of this work around so that it works for how the day schedule maybe gets a little crazy. It's easy to do. So again, we have the indicator here that we have a selection, and I'm just going to remove those two items so I no longer have those pieces selected. So you're probably interested in the routing piece. So let's move in to talk about routing a bit and what routing looks like in the system. I'm going to zoom out just a bit. So here I'm now, because we're talking about a specific inspector, I'm now going to select Colin, and let's take a look at how all of his inspections for the day and what that route looks like. They're concentrated in a pretty small area, but this will give you an idea of how the routing works. So from here, I'm kind of curious about inspection number 5, so we can click on inspection number 5 for the day and see more details about that. Maybe we're looking at this thinking, you know, there's really no reason for that to be in the middle of the route. Maybe we should move that to the beginning or the ending of the day so that he's not having to go far away and then come back to the other areas, because right now we're starting over here and then we're ending over here. So maybe we're going to move 5 to the end of the day. And well, what does that now look like? So we can show route, and we can see what the route looks like at this point, and maybe get a little bit more creative with, well, we could move, maybe we move 4 down here. Well, that's not quite as good, but what can Esri help us do? So if we use the Esri integration and we optimize the route, we can then, using GIS, be able to come up with the best schedule for the day. And at this point, we're starting over here and then we're ending over here. Now, something interesting to take into consideration here as well is you can set up for your business area. So for code enforcement or for P&I, if we're speaking about PLS, you can set up your start point and your ending point for your inspectors. So if you want to start at a specific location at the beginning of the day, end at a specific location at the end of the day, and then the optimized route is also going to take that into account as it comes up with the best route and most efficient route for your inspectors. So Colin now has his route figured out for the day to get all of his inspections done. So one other piece to talk about here is a little bit more about the map view. And so I'm just going to move back to our map view here. And from the map view, let's look at what I showed you in the beginning. I had talked about Mark Fawcett's schedule and his completed route versus his still left to do. So how exactly did we know where Mark was? Where is that last known location coming from? So the last known location, we're going to get this information updated in the system. We're going to get this information updated in the system in a few different ways. It's going to happen, of course, when we first get into the application. It's going to update all the last known locations for the inspectors. It's going to update. There's a refresh button here at the bottom left. It'll update when we use that. It's also going to update every 15 minutes. If we're just sitting here using the system, it'll just intermittently update every 15 minutes with the last known location. So where does it get the last known location from? So with POSSE Mobile 4, that is going to intermittently send inspector location information to the database. In addition to that, in addition to POSSE Mobile 4, other ways we could get that data, such as we do have some clients that are already using GPS tracking on inspectors' vehicles. So that is also a possibility. So there's some flexibility there with how we're getting that last known location for your inspectors. And last but not least, we do have a great help system with POSSE Inspection Manager. So we did build out help with a table of contents that's very easy to use. If I want to look into maybe using that filter panel a little bit more, maybe how do I do the assigning inspections and all the different ways to do that and what those different error messages mean. Or in addition to that, it also has the keyword search. So maybe if I want to look at about the scheduling window and how that is used and how that works for today and forward, we could go in, do a quick search on scheduling window, and then it's providing us that keyword search to find exactly what we were looking for here. So quite a bit available here from the help as well. Okay, and I think I've hit most everything I was going to talk about here. And let's see if we have any questions that have come in the chat that we should touch on.
Yep, there have been a few questions in the chat, but I've posted replies to them already. Laura, not sure if you wanted to just talk through those, but yeah, everything's there in the chat.
Okay, I don't know if there's a couple that maybe would be good to touch on.
The first question that came in was actually about what happens if there are multiple inspections at the same site, which is likely to be a very common scenario. So yes. Laura, I don't know if you have any examples of that ready to go.
I do. Yep. Yep. So thank you. I should have covered that. So this is one where there's several inspections at this one location. So we have a building inspection that's assigned to Mark Fawcett. And then you'll notice at the bottom right, it'll give us this one, we have 4 inspections here. So we have 1 of 4. So then we can page into inspection number 2, which is assigned to Isaac, inspection number 3, also Isaac, and then 4, Isaac. So I don't know, Kathleen, if you want to speak to that a little bit more about the multiple inspections.
Yeah, so yeah, like Laura said, we can page through them. Also, if you click on that 404, then it lists every inspection at that location. So then you can choose which one to look at in more detail. And then in a future version of Inspection Manager, we will have a pin clustering feature. So right now you see each individual pin for every location where there is an inspection happening. But in the future, it'll look more like maybe a bubble with a number for the inspections that are represented in that area. And then as you zoom in and out, you'll see more or less detail depending on how everything is grouped together.
Good to know. So here we would see that there was, well, they're all building inspections, but in the future, maybe an indicator that we have 4 separate ones on the map.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a couple more questions coming in. So how does this tool scale when you're dealing with 450 inspection calls per inspection group per day? So one way to handle that, if everything is in the same like business area. So right now we have like permitting and inspection set up as a business area. We have code enforcement as a business area. But then if, for instance, there are 2 different like subgroups working in code enforcement, for instance, a set of inspectors who deal only with exterior code enforcement issues, and a group who only deal with interior issues, then those could be configured as separate business areas so that in Inspection Manager, the managers would see only those internal ones or only the external ones. If you wanted to do something similar for PNI, for instance, have a way to see only the building inspections in like a business area, then that could be set up that way. I hope that answers the question, Darren. So reassigning inspections between existing inspectors. Does Inspection Manager have the ability to also assign from a list of unassigned inspections? Yes. So if there are any inspections that are either unassigned or are assigned to multiple users, then that will be shown in both the list and the map. In the inspectors drop down in the filter panel, there will be, if there are any unassigned or multiple inspections, then there will be options to filter by unassigned or to filter by inspections that are assigned to multiple users so that those are easy to get to and then assigned to a single inspector.
Yes, I definitely took the very happy path here, but so Kathleen, you're saying here I would see unassigned, so you could even filter just from this filter window as well.
Yes. And here in list mode, that inspector column would have, it would say either unassigned or multiple, and similar to how the overdue status like stands out as a little blob, we have a similar thing for unassigned inspections and inspections assigned to multiple users so that those stand out. And then managers of inspectors can see those more easily and say, I need to assign that one to just a single person. Okay. Bernie says, our liquor permit and charitable gaming license inspections are event-driven. Is there a way to look at a time period in the future for running events and set a work plan for the day based on these? Interesting. So as Laura showed, you can change the scheduling date in the filter panel. So if your events are scheduled like well enough in advance that you would have things like 2-3 weeks out, then you could set that date to like 2-3 weeks and then adjust the window if you need to see like a few days after that selected date, and then you would be able to see what's happening at that time and then schedule accordingly.
That's a great case.
Mm-hmm. And then with a set plan for the day, I believe you can add additional last minute inspections to the plan, correct? So yes, anything current day or later is a date that is valid for scheduling. So if it's already like 1 or 2 o'clock and then you get a call, it's like, oh, there's this really urgent inspection that came up, can we squeeze it in today? Then you're certainly able to schedule it for the current day, even though there are already inspections that have occurred. And as was mentioned earlier, and this is the first time that we get to show Inspection Manager to folks outside the company. So we're very open to feedback about things that do work, things that don't work, things we should consider in future versions. That's part of why we are showing it today at C3, is to start getting some of that initial user feedback. So we welcome any thoughts, any ideas that anyone may have for different features or things that would be helpful. So is there a possible way for interested parties to use a mock demo? So I assume that means like a test environment to actually mess around with this and see it at work. Laura, I believe that would mean discussing with the account manager to get access to a demo environment.
Absolutely. And that's actually a great segue into my last PowerPoint slide, which um, I definitely do want to make sure and mention, and now I'm in the wrong display mode here. But I do want to mention this is something that, depending on what product you have, if you're PLS, ABC, GCS, or POSSE platform, we definitely want to make sure and speak with you if you're interested in this about what the integration would look like, because this really is a separate module that we then implement through the integration. And if you want to set up a demo, a more in-depth demo, and give us the opportunity to answer questions, and then also give us the opportunity to take your feedback in about, certainly you're the ones that are using this every day. You're the ones that have a whole lot more inspections showing up on your map than what I have showing up in my map. And so, sometimes those high volume things that we don't think about as we're looking at this from a more granular view, that type of feedback is really beneficial for us to think about as we're looking at the product roadmap. I guess, Kathleen, you're more on the product side, but really looking at that roadmap and making sure that we're considering all those different possibilities and use cases.
Yeah, and it looks like we got a couple more questions coming in. So if inspectors lose connectivity in the field, how does Inspection Manager deal with that in terms of locating and viewing the routes? So an important thing to note about the inspector locations is it's their last known location. So it's not necessarily going to be real time, like this is where that inspector is. You can watch them drive around the city. Like Laura mentioned, Inspection Manager will retrieve that information every 15 minutes. Similarly, when the inspector location tracking feature is added to POSSE Mobile in version 4.0, that information will be sent, I believe, every 5 or 15 minutes. So it's not meant to be real-time location tracking, but it's last known location. And that's primarily a health and safety feature for inspectors. So that if they're at the same location for longer than expected, then the manager knows to reach out and say, hey, what's going on? Is it taking longer? Are you okay? So if connectivity is lost with the location information, not a big deal. It just means their location won't move on the map until they regain connectivity. Okay. And the next question, can the routing be used in such a way so that inspectors can then utilize it in their vehicles for directions via whatever tool they use? So yes, it could. So the routing and the sequencing both comes from and is saved to POSSE. And it's the same routing information that is used in POSSE Mobile. So as soon as the routing is done here in Inspection Manager using that routing panel, then that information is available in the database, and then POSSE Mobile is able to retrieve that. And then that will determine the order that inspections appear in users' to-do lists in the mobile application. If the inspector's device dies, what is the workaround for their location information? Does POSSE provide one, or is it just a manual process until the device is available again? So this is with the inspector locations again. So if their device dies, then simply their last known location won't move. And then the manager could try to reach out and say, hey, you've been in the same spot on the map for the last 2-3 hours, what's going on? And then being able to manage by location area, so groupings defined by clients, would be very beneficial. So right now in P&I burning and inspections, we have disciplines as like that top filter, and then that is what is represented in the inspection pins with the icons. This could be set up differently so that it is like region based rather than discipline based. So that's especially relevant for like ABC inspections, which might cover like a whole state. And so you want certain inspectors who are concentrated on the north end versus the south end. So rather than setting up inspections to be by discipline, it could be like region based, so that like Inspector Fred can only be assigned to things in the north zone, and then Bob can only be assigned to things in the east, and so on.
Want to, certainly reach out to your account manager, and we would love to get your feedback on this and hear a bit more about how you feel like you might be able to use this and implement in the different disciplines and the different products.
And if I could squeeze in one last answer in the last 30 seconds we have, there was a question, can this tool help a manager plan inspector districts and distribute work evenly based on boundaries? It could certainly be used to help with that, because perhaps seeing everything actually placed on a map for the first time would be like, oh, wait a second, we have a whole lot clustered over here and a lot clustered over there. So that information could certainly feed back into the process for setting up different areas. And then can the limit of 10 inspections in the list view be increased? So yes, it depends on how many inspections there are. So it'll just be scrollable. Okay, and it looks like we should get back.
Yep. Thank you everyone for your time. And as Gord mentioned earlier, these will all be recorded, so you can certainly come back and watch them and share them with other members of your group that did not get to attend today.
Thank you.
Thank you.